All right, everybody. This is Gimmick Best Ending with NGRTA and Aquas. I'm Figbird. I'll be your commentator here. There's a lot of things that are going on with this game, so I'm going to try and jump right into it. The first thing to know is that there's a bunch of point values that you use to get drops. And because of that, there's a lot of things that are going on where you're going to want to essentially manage your point values. There's a couple of major ones, which is basically like, 330 or any of the odd combinations therein will give you a fireball, and then the bombs are the even numbers like 880. And then there's 2 potion drops, which is all zeros and 550. So the route's going to require a lot of those kind of point managements. So that you can essentially set up for those items. Along with that, that means that when you pick up the trophies and all the other things, you have to take all this into consideration. And killing an enemy or jumping on an enemy, jumping on a star, there's a number of things that give you points. So that's the core of the route. So the goal with the first stage is to get 2 bombs and then kill the boss with a 440 score to give you an extra bomb. So that'll bring you into the second stage here, where you can do the boat skip, which I'll talk about here in a second, and also have 3 bombs for the next area. The boat skip essentially is landing on the bomb and then jumping onto a cannonball and then jumping into the top of the screen. So with Best Ending, you have to go to the left to get the other trophy, and because of that, it makes this stage very, very tight. And you'll see Aquas here is just doing some point management by killing a cannonball. But the way this essentially works is you want to kind of jump to the left, slow yourself down, throw the bomb to the right, land on the bomb, and get on the cannonball. It looks really flashy. It's not as hard as it looks, though it is still difficult. This section here, you essentially want to get on the bomb, and then you're going to throw at a very small timing to land on another bomb to get up here. That's a very tight timing. That's part of the hardest part of the stage. And doing all this quickly will allow you to get to the boss where he's still asleep. And that's where the speed portion of this comes in. There's a technique that you're seeing here with Aquas. He's using point grinding. Essentially, if you fall off of an enemy, it'll give you a little bit of points, and this will allow you to set up your point values for other sections. And it looks like Aquas did make it in time, so he'll be able to kill this. The timer starts, by the way, when the stage starts, and pausing doesn't change that. So you basically have to do it in one shot. I think Engi's going to have some issues, because I don't recall if he... Oh, no, that's right, he was resetting. So with stage 3, you want to get to the end boss with 3 bombs to speed it up significantly, because what this will allow you to do is hit the boss while he's normally invulnerable. Basically, bombs allow you to do that in certain situations, and this is one of them. So getting there with 3 bombs is the idea. And to do that, you basically want to have 870 points going into the next couple of enemies, because you have to land on them to kill them. And Aqua set that up perfectly. So here's Engi having to fight the boss, as I was mentioning earlier. He's kind of a pain. He jumps around and he blocks your attacks, things like that. So he's kind of a problem. So that's why I want to get there quickly. So here's the Totoro. If you end up taking a hit, you can deal damage to it or take it out and get a potion. But otherwise, you want to get there with 2 HP so that you can do that damage through the Nickelodeon Fun Zone, I think Aquas calls it. You want to end this stage with 750 or 760 points, depending on the way you do it, so that you can get 2 fireballs at the beginning of the next stage. And here we go. You're going to try and hit this guy with the bombs while he's coming in. This is where you can damage him while he's invulnerable. And then the last one's the trickiest one with the timing. And there we go. Perfect fight from Aquas. All right, going into this stage, we're going to start with a little star onto Nessie to stop it from attacking, and then he's going to basically get 2 fireballs from these enemies. And so you jump on them, and then you jump on them again, and then get the fireballs. Actually, the other fireballs a little bit later, but you get the first one there and get to 770, which again is the fireball drop. And these are guaranteed if you have those point values, as I mentioned earlier. So the dunes kind of slow your momentum down, and that's another thing I should have mentioned. There's a lot of momentum scaling you want to use to your advantage, so that basically you're moving quickly, because you preserve momentum if you're jumping, but also ramps and other things like that will get you moving forward. And right there was a tube shot, is what we call it. Essentially, you throw the star into the ceiling and land on it. They're very tight windows. There's one of the potions, which Aquas didn't need, so he didn't pick it up. But if he needed it, he could have grabbed it there. This fight here is quick. You just throw the fireball and hit him. And then we're going to go into the next trophy room. This is a particularly tricky room. You have to essentially set it up to where you can, for the fastest version, get back on one of these platforms. And the star right after you get the trophy is very difficult. And Aquas got it. It's a tight window to get that. The basic setups for the stars, since I can kind of talk for that a second, is to essentially throw the star against a wall and then land on it. There's various different ways you can do this, but that's basically the setup. This trick here, okay, so what he did there is he threw a bomb while the shell was cracking, and what happens is the shell will push you, and it'll actually set your, I think it's your Y coordinate is kind of off from where you're actually standing. So this will allow you to get through certain walls, as well as you can't, when you jump into a ceiling, you'll get pushed. But because of that, he can just jump right through here and then jump through this section here, which is the first part of the glitch. Later on, we use this glitch even further. But because of that, he has to set the checkpoint, which is why he went up. And this allows him to get over here to the trophy. Then I believe he's going to try and get an item for the boss. I don't recall his particular route. I haven't been seeing the particulars, but essentially he's going to try and get another item, or he's going to use the ones he has either way. But he takes an intentional death. It's faster than going back. And then we're going to go into the boss. This is probably the hardest casual boss in the game. He has two phases. The first one is a little guy who's going left and right and throwing lasers, and as you hit him, he gets faster and shoots more. After that, there's a mech that uses a lot of abilities to stop you from hitting him with stars, and he's an overall pain. But because of the way this is going to be set up, we're going to try and hit him early with the bomb, which is a timing. He gives an audio cue for it. And he's going to just try and stay in his face and throw the stars. So that's a pretty quick fight. Engie here is going through the trophy room. It looks like he missed it, so you can get the backup. Ooh, close. All right, so the next stage here, this is the second portion of the trick. There's a spot in the floor that you can use by taking damage while being on that slope to get pushed into the floor, essentially. So you see it right there, and it warps you basically through the entire stage. But because this is best ending, he has to go back and then go up to this trophy room to get that. This room's trickier when you have the glitch active because you can't hit the ceilings, but Aquas just did that flawlessly. From here, he's going to go into the fight with the wizards. It's the first major RNG of the game. There's some other RNG elements here and there, but this one is easily the one that most people kind of dread. Because he's doing the glitch, he only has 2 HP. Usually you can get there with 3 or more, so he's just going to drop the potion to start. The way this boss works is he throws bubbles. The bubbles will stop you from being able to use stars, and you'll continue to throw them. The first stage is pretty straightforward with that. From here, we're going to use a bomb to get him to sort of circle, and this will allow him to get 2 easy quick hits, and then gets the third. He's opting to keep the bomb, or not get the bomb for speed. This is the last stage. He does basically a little bit of everything. He'll throw these little icicles that'll deal damage to you. He'll circle and he'll throw bubbles at you. When he's using the bubbles, you can set it up to where you can... is he going to take a hit? You can set it up to where he'll come at you. He kind of charges you when you have a bubble. But he also tries to avoid coming down when you have a star. That was actually a pretty sweet fight. Stage 7 is pretty straightforward. The boss itself has a quick kill, but this is a nice respite after all the tricky parts. If you're playing this casually going for best ending, you have to do this all without going into a continue as it resets your trophy progress. Otherwise, essentially what's happening is that once you get here, you can start having game overs. All right, so he's just going to star grind here for fun. Is he going to go for the death warp? Oh, he didn't go for it. There's actually a warp you can do where you go up and you save like minor amounts of time by basically going through a hole in the ceiling. I guess this is a hole in the bottom of it for some reason, and it puts you into the water pit here and you die. All right. So like I said, this is a pretty straightforward area, just some star rides. He's gonna have to take an intentional death to allow him to get into the next zone. So he's gonna basically go up because of the glitch. He can't actually stay up there, so he falls back down, but luckily it allows you to trigger the checkpoint. So we're coming up on the actual boss. This boss has 2 phases. The first one is kind of RNG. He'll appear either left or right of you in varying positions and throw a wave. You have to hit him 3 times. And then you'll go into what I call the Luke Skywalker part of the fight, where essentially you're fighting him and he's got a whole bunch of maneuvers. Ideally, you fight him on the left or right side, and you can set him up for an easy kill. This is kind of far to the right, but Aquas has got some practice. So once you get him to the corner here, you can't go any further back, so you can set up a quick kill, and then time will be as the fade of the black of the screen. So the way that the quick kill works is that he's stunned, and if he's on the right side, he gets stuck there. Whereas if he's on the left side, he can actually go past the window of the screen. So yeah, that was Aquas' run. Really nice time. I'd be curious what the actual time ends up being. And then, Engie's dying to this boss. We have an emote for this because the RNG elements are a pain. One thing I can mention, you can manipulate the very first phase of Wizard 1 by throwing a star as you fall onto that little like steps. So it's something I didn't have time to talk about earlier, but you could see NG setting it up for that, which is why he went further back than just going out and then coming in. All right, so NG opting not to have the fireball. All right, so this is the final fight again. He has a couple different options. Ooh, that was nice. He got 2 hits there, which is beautiful. But basically, he's got a couple of early RNG things he can do. That was a really, really nice one, and that was actually a pretty solid fight. He took a damage, but wasn't a big deal. All right, let's see if NG can do some craziness on this last stage. All right. By the way, this is the best soundtrack for, or the best stage sound music in the game, in my opinion. Anyway, so, ooh, he took damage, and that actually stopped the tooth from running, so he doesn't get to use the speed from that, which is unfortunate. A little bit of time lost there. All right. I wonder if he'll take a potion. Or no, I guess he has to take a death. Never mind. He's gonna go through this with 1 health. I'm thinking without the glitch, because I typically run best ending glitchless, so I'm more used to that. All right, so this last section here, he's gonna just hit the guy as we saw before, and he's gonna die to reset. So it's actually good that he took a hit there, although it's unfortunate with the time loss for the slowness, but he needed to take damage so that he could easily die right there. But as I said earlier, this is a very, very nice, easy stage for after all the craziness earlier. All right, RNG time. This is 1 time on the right. He's going left. He went right, so that's actually beautiful. The timing for this is, ooh, oh, is he gonna recover it? Oh no, he's not. So now he's on the left side. This boss is much harder to deal with on the left. He's got a bunch of attacks, and ooh, he missed. With the fireball, oh, there's a fire flame that he throws out. There's the wave he does. He'll flip on you and use his little lightsaber to attack you, and generally just be really annoying. He's also very defensive, so most of his abilities will take out your star. So that's the reason why the quick kill is really nice. Wow, that was close to getting knocked into the water. Nice recovery. So that's one of the reasons why the quick kill is nice, because you essentially set him to the side, and then you don't have to worry about him anymore. So it looks like he missed the first hit here. Ideally, you can hit him while he's spawning like that. So that was actually nice. And now he's perfectly positioned. The jump here is not a full jump, so getting used to this takes a little bit of practice. But either way, there's the GG going on. And again, time would stop once he transitions to the black screen. So yeah, that was Aquas and NG for Gimmick Best Ending with the Glitch. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Next up, I believe we have, who is it? We got Journey to Silius with Toad. Good old Toad. Nonetheless, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. I was Figbird, that was NG and Aquas, and you guys all have a fantastic evening.